Really getting into something important, something that affects so many of us. How residential assisted living facilities, RALs, effectively connect with residents. It's about understanding the strategies, the really empathetic ways they reach out. Because these aren't just places, right? They're communities providing vital care for seniors, connecting them with families who need them. Super crucial work. Our main source today is a really insightful piece from Chaney.com called 20 Proven Ways to Get Residents for Your Residential Assisted Living Facility. Think of it like a valuable roadmap. It shows the smart, strategic, and often, surprisingly human approaches these places use to keep their doors open and provide that essential care. Lots of practical stuff in there.
Exactly. And our mission, really, is to unpack the methods that have the most impact. Some might even surprise you. This goes beyond just filling rooms. It's deeply about connecting people with services they genuinely need, making sure they find that supportive environment. We'll look at outreach, digital presence, community ties, and even some, flexible service ideas that really make a difference.
Okay, let's dive in then. The source starts strong, emphasizing partnerships, building these powerful connections. Now, my first thought might be, direct ads, maybe flashy mailers. Why are these partnerships, specifically with home health and hospice, why are they such a cornerstone? What's the real advantage there?
That's a great question, and it cuts right to the core of why this works so well. The real insight here, partnering with home health and hospice isn't just about getting names. It's about inheriting trust. These agencies, their teams, they're already deeply involved with seniors in the community. They've built rapport, often during really tough times for families. So a warm introduction from them, it's infinitely more powerful than, say, a cold call or some generic ad.
Makes sense.
The source outlines a kind of three-step process. First, you actively build the relationships. Connect with these healthcare pros, show them you're a quality option. Second, set up a cross-referral system. It needs to be mutually beneficial. They refer clients needing more care. Maybe the RAL refers someone needing specific home health services.
Oh, a two-way street.
Exactly. And third, these partnerships build huge credibility. They boost your reputation within the whole healthcare network because these professionals, they see firsthand when a senior's needs are changing, when home care just isn't quite enough anymore. They're right there at that transition point.
That phrase, inheriting trust, that really lands. It's not building it cold. But are there common mistakes, places where facilities maybe stumble when trying to build these partnerships? Or, what's one key piece of advice for doing it genuinely, not just collecting contacts,
Oh, absolutely. A big misstep is seeing it purely as transactional, like what can you send me? That rarely works long term. The successful places, they treat it like a real collaboration. My advice, focus on consistent, value-added engagement.
Okay, what does that look like?
It means regular check-ins. Maybe offering workshops for their staff on things like spotting early signs of dementia or navigating that move to assisted living.
Providing value to them.
Precisely. Invite them for tours, let them meet your team, see the environment, become a resource for them. When you do that, when a need arises for one of their clients, you're top of mind because they know you, they trust the care you provide. It's definitely a long game, built on respect.
That makes total sense. Meeting families through people they already trust. Okay, but when that initial need starts bubbling up, or maybe even before, where do most people look first now? I mean, it's got to be online, right? Our source really hammers home the importance of digital visibility. It seems almost non-negotiable.
Oh, absolutely. The internet is, for many, the main front door now when they're looking into senior care. So the core strategy here is getting listed on senior placement platforms. Places like A Place for Mom, Caring.com, Seniorly, Care.com. There are quite a few.
Like the Zillow for senior living.
Kind of, yeah. That's a good way to put it. They're these central hubs where families can quickly compare options, read reviews, look at pictures, get the key details. It solves a huge pain point for families wading through tons of individual websites. These platforms pull it all together. Verified listings, reviews. You can compare side by side based on location, needs, budget. But just being listed isn't quite enough, is it?
Right.
The critical thing is treating that listing like your prime digital real estate. It has to be current, accurate, and frankly, appealing. We're talking good photos, high-quality ones that show the warmth, detailed info on services, amenities, and crucially, up-to-date availability. Make it easy for them to find you, like what they see, and then, take the next step call, schedule a tour.
Okay, but these directories, they can be crowded, right? Lots of listings.
Yeah.
So how does a facility actually, stand out? Is it just being there, or are there ways to really shine?
Fantastic point. Because, yeah, just existing isn't enough.
Yeah.
You need to be proactive. This means actively encouraging families of current residents to leave reviews. Good, honest reviews.
Social proof.
Exactly. And then you have to respond to those reviews, all of them, positive, negative. Respond professionally, empathetically. It shows you're engaged, you care. Also, keep the profile fresh. Update photos, maybe add videos, announce special events. It signals an active, vibrant place.
Right.
Think about when you shop online. What catches your eye? It's usually the listing that looks complete, visually appealing, and has solid reviews. Facilities that invest there, they definitely get an edge. It moves them from just being present to being preferred.
Okay, so we've got the professional networks, the big online directories, but the source doesn't stop there. It also talks about the power of local community ties. And alongside that, having a strong personal digital footprint like your own website. How do those two seemingly different things, grassroots community work and your own online presence, how do they work together?
It's a really smart, holistic approach, actually. It meets families wherever they happen to be in their search. Let's start with faith-based groups, partnering with local churches, synagogues, mosques. Often they have senior ministries, right? Groups of people who might eventually need care.
Built-in networks.
Exactly. And these aren't just casual connections. Faith communities often have really strong, trusting support systems for their older members. So a facility could offer, say, educational talks during senior meetings, explain care options, maybe talk about the transition process, doing it in a familiar, trusted setting. That's powerful. And this isn't just churches. It applies to cultural groups, too, organizations serving specific communities. If a facility aligns with their values, provides culturally sensitive care, that can be a huge factor and a great source of referrals. It's about being woven into the community fabric.
Okay, that's the community side. What about their own website, then? If families are using caring.com, why the need for a separate site with local SEO?
Great question. Because even if they start on a big platform, what do people often do next? They Google it directly.
Right. They want to see the facility's own page.
Precisely. They'll do hyper-local searches, like Assisted Living Main Street Anytown or Memory Care Near Me. Your own website, optimized for local search, that's how you capture those searches. Local SEO just means making sure your site pops up first when someone nearby searches those terms.
And what makes that site effective?
Well, beyond the SEO basics, it needs compelling content, not just text. Think virtual tours that really let you feel the space.
Yeah, immersive stuff.
Exactly. Genuine resident testimonials, maybe video ones telling their story, perhaps day-in-the-life snippets, staff profiles highlighting the team. You want to bring the place to life.
Okay.
And finally, a crystal clear call to action. Like it's super easy to schedule a tour, request info, whatever that next step is. What's really neat is how these two strategies, the deep community roots and the sharp local website, they target different approaches families take, but ultimately serve the same goal, meeting people where they are, whether it's through a church friend or a quick Google search.
That dual approach really does cover the bases, doesn't it? The personal touch and the digital discovery. Very comprehensive. Now, this next strategy from the source really jumped out at me. It feels different, innovative maybe, offering temporary stays. At first glance, it sounds almost counterintuitive for a place focused on long-term care. How does offering short-term respite actually lead to permanent residence? What's the mechanism there?
It's a fantastic strategy, actually. Really insightful and deeply empathetic. It taps into a very common family need and solves a big challenge for facilities at the same time. The source calls it offer respite care and short-term stays. These temporary stays have a couple of key uses. They're ideal for seniors maybe recovering from surgery or an illness or a fall. They need support that's hard to manage at home, but they don't necessarily need a hospital. It's a safe recovery space.
Okay, makes sense.
And just as vital, it gives family caregivers a break. If they're feeling burned out, need a vacation, have to travel for work, respite provides that essential relief. It's a safety net, really.
Prevents caregiver burnout, which is huge.
Absolutely. But here's the genius part. It acts like a sophisticated try before you buy.
Okay. I see where this is going.
Right. It lets the family, and important, the senior themselves, experience the facility firsthand. No pressure of a long-term commitment right away. They see the care quality, meet the staff, feel the community vibe, try the food. They get a real sense of the place.
Takes the guesswork out of it.
Totally. It moves them from just imagining what it's like based on a brochure or website to knowing through personal experience. It's the ultimate testimonial. And the result. What the source calls a significant conversion opportunity. Many short-term residents, once they've experienced good care, felt the community warmth, felt that peace of mind, they choose to stay permanently.
Wow.
It's not just marketing, it's experiential proof. It builds trust and shows value in a way that, honestly, traditional ads just can't touch.
That's fascinating. It reframes the whole idea of a short stay. It's like a trial run for a major life decision. But practically, how long are these stays usually, and how do facilities manage the logistics of having temporary folks alongside long-term residents? Isn't that complicated?
Good question. Typically, respite stays can be anywhere from, say, a few days up to several weeks, maybe even a month or two. It really depends on the need and what the facility can accommodate. Logistically,
Yeah.
yeah, it requires some careful planning, a bit of flexibility. Often, facilities might designate a couple of rooms specifically for respite, knowing they'll have higher turnover.
Okay.
They also need really smooth admission and discharge processes to make it easy on families during what might already be a stressful time. It
Hmm.
might sound like extra work, but often that high conversion rate turning short stays into long ones makes the operational effort well worth it. Plus, it gives the staff another chance to really shine, to show their compassion and skill to potential long-term residents and their families reinforces that reputation for great care.
We've really covered a lot of ground today. A remarkable range of strategies for these RAL facilities, building those key professional alliances like with home health and hospice, leveraging the big digital platforms, a place for mom and the like, getting deep into the local community faith groups, building that strong local web presence, and then this really smart use of short-term stays, respite care. It's clearly a very dynamic area.
Absolutely. And if you pull back, look at the bigger picture. It's clear that successfully attracting residents isn't about finding one magic bullet. It's a truly multifaceted approach.
Mm.
It strategically blends that proactive outreach into the healthcare world, a really strong and accurate online presence both on directories and their own site deep community integration. And maybe most importantly, those flexible, empathetic services like respite care. They meet immediate needs, often critical ones, while also showing long-term value and building undeniable trust. It's about being present, being helpful, being transparent, really, at every single point in a family's often complex, often emotional search for the right care.
So, thinking about this, what's the key takeaway for you listening right now? Maybe consider how these different strategies paint a picture of the evolving elder care landscape. How could understanding these different connection points, professional referrals, online searches, community word of mouth, even those trial stays, how could that empower you or someone you love when you're facing that journey of finding the right assisted living solution? This deep dive really shows us, I think, that behind every thriving facility, there's a very thoughtful, strategic, and yes, deeply human approach to reaching the people who truly need their care and community.